think that the S9 Plus is the best phone you can buy in 2018 for April, and that is because the Samsung Galaxy S9 is the jack of all trades. It's got a solid build quality, so it feels premium in the hand. It comes in multiple colors: coral blue, lilac purple, gray, and black. So you got plenty of color options here right from launch, and you do have an incredible display, the best ever on any smartphone. It is a OLED display, and it also is very accurate and very sharp at, way over 2K resolution. So it's a really good display here on this device, and you have incredible cameras on the rear that have a variable aperture that's also pushing the boundaries when it comes to camera performance, and it has expandable memory as well, so you can expand the storage on the S9 for up to 400 gigabytes. This thing is also IP68 water and dust resistant, so very good peace of mind when you take the S9 out and maybe submerge it in water or something like that. And best of all, the S9 is not $1,000 plus. It is right around what you would expect a flagship to be, at around $850 or so dollars. So the S9 Plus to me is the ultimate phone you can buy right now in April 2018 of all of these that I'm showing you here. And number 2 on my list is going to shock quite a few Apple fans, but the Google Pixel 2 XL makes the second spot on my list, and for a couple of reasons. And it's not because of the design, so if you're thinking it's because of the design, you're wrong there on that one. I'm not picking this because of its looks, but because it has an incredible camera. The camera is so good on the Pixel 2 XL, it might even make you leave your DSLR at home. It's really that good. Unless you're doing professional work, you'll probably never need that DSLR. The software is near perfection. When it comes to everyday performance, this is what we expect on a phone. The Pixel 2 XL never lags. It doesn't really have any performance bugs on the day-to-day, and the software is just a dream to use. And anybody who's using a Pixel 2 XL can attest to that themselves. I'm sure somebody's gonna leave a comment, agreeing with me there on that one. Now, the display also is massively improved with the saturated mode. Now, a lot of people will still knock it because of what they've been brainwashed in the media to believe about this blue shift. And I'm not gonna lie to you, there is a blue shift, but at the same time, it's not so apparent when you're not looking for it. You actually have to be looking for that blue shift for it to be a real issue. When you just start to enjoy your phone, you forget that it's even there, and the new colors mode make this display no longer look dull. So it definitely is good enough to use every day, and the software and camera make up for it. Also, the Pixel 2 XL has a very large, generous battery, and that thing definitely lasts a very long time. With all the Android 8.1 and 8.0 optimizations, this thing really does go the distance for an Android device. So yes, the questionable looks on the Pixel 2 XL, and so yes, it does have questionable looks on the Pixel 2 XL. Don't get me wrong. It did have questionable display with the new mode. I think that is no longer that big of an issue, but the camera and the software and the battery, 3 things that Google really knocked out of the park with this device, really make this thing a joy to use on the day-to-day. It's an incredible experience, and those are the things that really matter to a lot, which is the camera, the battery, and the performance. And this thing hits the mark on all of those. In addition to that, it gives you the front-firing speaker. So that's why the Pixel 2 XL makes my number 2 spot on the list. So the iPhone 10 makes the 3rd spot on my list because I do think the iPhone 8 Plus is better for me personally, but I think the technology in the iPhone 10 is way more cutting edge than the 8 Plus. It has a beautiful display, and it just feels premium. Of all these phones on the table, I feel like the iPhone 10 did the best job of feeling like what you paid for it. Like, yes, it's $1,000, but they did a really good job of it feeling like you paid $1,000. So I give them credit there. Also, the gesture UI is very innovative. It's different for Apple. I mean, for Apple at least, it's a different software experience, and I like that a lot. It makes it feel a little bit faster than pressing a home button. So the gesture UI is very enjoyable to use on the iPhone 10. Battery life is surprisingly good on this device as well. You don't really need to utilize low power mode too much if you're you're going too heavy on the phone. It can last most of the day quite easily. And it has incredible performance with that Apple A11 CPU. It really doesn't choke no matter what you're doing on this device. I just missed that tap right there, no big deal. It just loads everything very fast and just how you would expect a $1,000 phone to perform. It performs nearly as good as a MacBook, iPad Pro, any of those things. But personally, why it takes the number 3 spot is because, it's the price, $1,000, you get a smaller display than most of these phones, which I think doesn't make it great value comparatively to the other phones because you're only getting a 5.8-inch display. And with the way the apps are optimized, sometimes it feels like an iPhone 8. So you're paying $1,000 for a phone that sometimes feels like an iPhone 8 when it comes to the way the apps are fitting in the screen. So it's not quite ready in everyday use for, all apps to be optimized. For example, I read the Pi Geek app all the time. They still haven't updated this app, and look how tiny that is. It's like in the middle, just like an iPhone 8 would be. Number 2 is the notch. I don't really think the notch is still enjoyable for most people. A lot of people can say you get used to it, but at the same time, it still looks off when we're all really pushing for a really, truly all-screen design. And lastly, to me, it's personally just making the third spot on my list because I just really desire a larger iPhone than this when it comes to the, this type of display. It would be really nice to see this in a larger display, which I do think Apple is going to be bringing later this year. And number 4 on my list is the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Now, the reason why the Note 8 dropped down to number 4 is because of its tall and awkward size to use in the day-to-day. It gets uncomfortable over time, and this phone has actually found itself in my office more just being the phone that I do accounting with, business with on this phone. This is really what I use the Note 8 for the most of the time, and if I want to consume media on a phone, I always go to the Note 8 because it has a fantastic, huge display, and it's really vibrant for watching movies on. So that's where the Note 8 really shines. Now, the Note 8 is also the most productive phone I feel on the list here because you have the S Pen, and I do actually use the S Pen all the time to take notes and things like that. I don't even use paper anymore. I just pull out my Note and use the Note as more of a paper replacement. So the Note 8 is the most productive phone here on the list. It offers a lot of features in one package, just like the Galaxy S9. But the reason why it took number 4 and it didn't take number 1 or 2 or 3 on this list is because the photography on the rear is not quite as good as some of the others on this list. The iPhone 10 has better photos. The 8 Plus, the Samsung, and the Pixel 2 all, I think, have better cameras than the Note 8. The Note 8 doesn't have bad cameras, but on the rear, sometimes they can look soft. And I know people are going to say, well, you could put it in the Pro mode. It's the processing that Samsung does that makes the photos look soft sometimes, and the front-facing camera looks extremely soft. So those few factors, and the battery life kind of drains faster than these other devices here. So that's why it pushed it down to number 4. But overall, that S Pen, really, you can't touch this, as it really just feels like a unique device, but still one of the best you can buy. At number 4 is the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. At number 5 on my list is the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, yes, this red color just came out and it looks fantastic for sure. Got rid of my white 8 Plus for this one, but this phone, why it's number 5 is because it's definitely the best iPhone you could buy that's a normal iPhone. What I mean by that is it's the phone you're used to seeing Apple make, with the Touch ID home button and things like that. This is definitely the best you can buy here. And this one is like a tank. It's very durable. It's heavy, but it's fast. It feels premium, It's not the sexiest, but it's minimal, it's clean, and it does everything you would want it to. The battery life is probably the second best on this list next to my Pixel 2 XL, and the cameras are just as good as what you can find on the iPhone 10. However, the front-facing camera, you do have portrait mode on the 10, but I don't know how many people are really using that portrait mode. I don't hear about it too much. And the problem, though, with this phone and why it's fallen to number 5 on my list is that I've seen iOS bugs, on this phone. From the day one I bought this phone, there was a bug where the app was stuck on the screen. I mean, these things are just annoying, especially considering when Apple has always been the crown jewel of software for me. They've been the software company that really, they're a hardware company, but they've been doing software so good that seeing this is just not nice to see on an iPhone, especially considering they cost $900. And lastly, it has a 1080p display, LCD. All of these have OLED that you've seen here, and this one has LCD, so that drops it down to number 5 for me. Overall, it has great battery life. It's solid, it's premium, it just works really well, and it's a fantastic phone here, cheaper than most of these here on this list, but at the same time, it does fall short in a few areas and puts it at number 5 as the best phone you can buy in April 2018. So that's it for my best phones of April 2018. Now, these are all pretty large phones, you might be thinking, and some of the better smaller phones are like the iPhone 8, the Sony Xperia XZ2 Compact, and you have things like the smaller Galaxy S9. But these devices, the best tech is usually right now in the larger devices. And lastly, you might be wondering, what is my pick? Which one do you actually use, Nick, on the day-to-day the most? And right now, that is the Google Pixel 2 XL. And personally, I never thought this would be the case because I don't think it has the most premium looking design or anything like that. But when you have a phone in your pocket that takes photos like the Pixel 2 XL does so intelligently and saves them automatically to the Google Photos cloud and they pretty much come out perfect every single time, that's an incredible thing, the satisfactory feeling to have in your pocket. You're just like feeling like, I'm never gonna miss a memory with my Pixel 2 XL. And if I miss my camera at home, I know I'm definitely getting a good shot. And not only that, it shoots really good video as well. It has not really great audio that comes out of the phone, but that's easily fixed if you do use a lavalier microphone or something like that. In addition to that, it's the most minimal feeling phone here when it comes to Android, at least. It's a very minimal experience and it feels modern. I like that this Android 8.0 just feels very modern. I just think it feels like 2018. It's got this like, I don't know, futuristic look in my opinion. And Samsung does have a lot of features and offers so much in one package, and that's why I think it's the best phone you can buy. But for me personally, I don't really find myself needing all of the features Samsung offers, but when I do need them, I do switch back into the Samsung sometimes. The display really hasn't bugged me too much with the Pixel 2 XL, especially like I said, since the new saturated color mode has come. And another thing about the Pixel 2 XL is it's probably lighter than all these phones. It feels super light in the hand, and I like the fact that it doesn't feel like it's just gonna crack if I drop it. I don't feel like it's super fragile like some of these other phones. So the reason why I'm not really using the iPhone as my daily phone right now is because of the bugs with iOS 11. And I'm not closed off to going back to iPhone as a daily phone. Last year, the iPhone 7 Plus on iOS 10 was my everyday phone. I loved that thing, and iOS 11 came and kind of ruined that experience for me. But when Apple comes with the larger iPhone 10 Plus, that probably will take the crown as my favorite phone. But we have the Pixel 3 coming later this year. I hope that thing just kills it on design, because they really need to do that, fix the display issues, and it's going to be even more amazing. The Note 9 coming, that should be amazing as well. Samsung's filing patents for notch display, so maybe they're gonna go something like a notch, but mostly all screen. So yeah, that's the end of this video. These are my top 5 best phones you can buy for April 2018. The one I personally use the most right now is the Pixel 2 XL. That doesn't mean that I don't like any of these phones. It doesn't mean that I don't like Apple, don't like Samsung. It just means that this is working best personally for me in the month of April 2018. What is your favorite phone here on the table? Did you not like any of these? What is your favorite device? What do you think are the best phones? You can list your top 3 or top 5 down below. Let us know. Let's chat about this one. Thank you all very much for watching. I will catch you all in the next episode. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And one last thing, make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss any of my upcoming updates on videos. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Be sure to be well, and peace.